All right, everyone. I am going to get started. There are, nearly 70 people on right now, and we got a chance to meet a lot of you today in a cloudy, rainy beginning to what is now turned into a sunny, beautiful day. But welcome to residency. This is, without a doubt, a really exciting time. I know everything in your world has been upended in one way or another. And this is a huge transition for everyone. But we are here to support you and do all that we can to help you in any possible way during this 2-week period of orientation, and then on as you work through your intern year or your first year of residency. You all are part of an incredible legacy here at Hennepin. This is a legacy that dates back to the late 1800s. So on this very block, about 2 blocks away, was the original City Hospital of Minneapolis, originally created in 1887. And the mission of this organization, the deep roots that it has in this community, has been front and center from the beginning. It started out as just a tumble-down shack, essentially, but couldn't meet the needs of our patients. So this Brackett Farm building was purchased from a local farm owner, and it became the second site of what was then known as the City Hospital. At that time, in the late 1800s, the cost per patient day was 24 cents. Needless to say, the world has changed significantly since then. I love this from our history museum, but it shows the sampling of patient occupations way back from the 1800s when patients were first seeking care here. We continue to track all of our patients, and we are into the hundreds of thousands, rather into the 100 in these days. The hospital began originally as a teaching hospital, and that is a core mission for everyone who comes here to teach or comes here to train, for nurses and pharmacists and EVS workers and cafeteria employees. Everyone's here because they believe in the community and the desire to serve the underserved, and also a vast majority come here to teach. And this hospital began with a staff consisting of 4 nurses, 2 interns, a matron, a general handyman. And we've been teachers and taught students from a variety of disciplines then up until now. So no matter where you go throughout your intern year, you are going to be interfacing with learners in the lab, in radiology, on the wards, in clinics. We teach, and the county board who supports this health system and this institution in particular has said that this is our mission in this community and needs to continue to be so. We have also always been a trauma hospital, and this picture cracks me up because this is our very first ambulance. Our door to balloon time was less than desirable back then, but we continue to maintain our role as a trauma center. And even now, as we are in lockstep with caring for our COVID sick patient population here in the Twin Cities, other hospitals are taking transfers from our health system in order to allow us to maintain beds, or bed availability for trauma patients. We have to continue to be able to serve that need, and we have so much expertise here at Hennepin because of it, and it is something that even in the throes of a pandemic, we can't sway too far from what we do well. So the system you've entered here at Hennepin is bigger than a hospital, bigger than emergency medical system or a cath lab or a radiology suite. We care for more than 2,500 people every day across our entire integrated healthcare system. So we have our main hospital, which spans several blocks. Overall, we have 460 beds. And we are a safety net. And what that means is we have some publicly financed dollars that come to this institution in order to care for the underserved. And this is a role we play, whether a patient can pay or not, is insured or not, is privately or publicly part of Blue Cross or Medicaid. We let each and every patient get the best possible care we can provide at this health system. And it's something that brings great pride to all of us who choose to work here. We also have the CSC, which is the bright, shiny clinic that's only a couple years old. This is our same-day surgery center. It is also where most of our subspecialty clinics are located. This is where internal medicine primary care clinic is located. We also have rotators from the University of Minnesota, mainly in the surgical subspecialties, the medical subspecialties, who also do their clinics in this building. We have the Whittier Clinic, which is this lovely satellite clinic that is in an amazing community, and the Whittier community. And this is the family medicine primary care clinic. And this is your home if you're in family medicine, and has integrated systems of subspecialists who rotate a day there. Services such as radiology are provided on site, labs on site, pharmacies on site. This is going to be your home if you're in family medicine. This is the hyperbaric chamber, and the hyperbaric chamber here at Hennepin is one of the most advanced in the nation. We have a hyperbaric fellowship, so we have some fellows. Those of you entering the emergency medicine program will be doing some training within the hyperbaric chamber. This provides amazing care not only for deep sea divers, which needless to say are not in large populations here in the Midwest, but a lot of carbon monoxide poisonings, burns, wound care, limb preservation, and there's great partnership with our hyperbaric folks, with our podiatric surgery teams and residents, with our emergency medicine residents, as well as internal medicine. So it's a really great modernized facility. Our burn unit is very renowned. We receive patients from the Dakotas, from Iowa, from Western Wisconsin for full, complete burn care, and have some of the best outcomes in the nation. We have partnerships with the community. We have a home nursing program that's integrated into Hennepin, and these nurses do home visits. And essentially, I could not discharge a patient safely without a direct partnership with this team and these teams. We're a research organization. We have a research institute, HHRI, Hennepin Health Research Institute, and much of our research goes through this wing of the organization. HHRI has partnered with our health system in the time of COVID. We are able to offer the most cutting-edge therapies for COVID-positive patients in the nation. Everything from remdesivir trials, which we were one of the fewer than 10 sites that were approved for a randomized control trial looking at remdesivir. We also have convalescent plasma, a losartan trial. We have an IL-6 trial. We are looking at every possible option we can offer patients to help them get through this very difficult and challenging infection. We have 3 ECMOs, which is the extracorporeal kind of option for patients who are really too ill to even be stable on a ventilator. And we partner with the University of Minnesota, who has several machines, as well as Abbott has several machines. And as a community, we can provide that next step up of care not available in smaller communities. And medical education, we teach. We have the simulation center. Those of you that will be doing ACLS training, internal medicine, emergency medicine, and podiatric surgery, you will see the simulation center. The rest of you will get there, I promise you. All other orientations were days and days in the simulation center. You got downright sick of it, and we will get you there once we can bring groups together, because it is by far the best way to teach and train. We have very skilled staff. And the training's bigger than procedural training. It's in communication and team care and error disclosure and the spaces between entering the orders into Epic and looking at treatment protocols. It goes into the spaces that we all live every single day as physicians. Let's look at last year, just to get a quick look at how busy and how big we are. We had over 640,000 clinic visits in 2019. Performed over 11,000 surgeries, and Hennepin, like every other health system in the country, has really ramped down our surgeries because of COVID, not only a need for beds, but also utilization of equipment like ventilators and services such as, the personnel, such as nurses and our cleaning folks and all the team members that help care for patients. We had to pull back surgeries. We are opening back up, and we are getting that surgery number back up now. Those of you going into surgery, you will see the surgeries returning to slowly to their pre-COVID days. We continue to service the community through trauma and have much of our OR time is emergent based on presentation to the emergency department. Over 21,000 discharges, and we have terrific partnerships with healthcare for the homeless, with shelters in the community, nursing homes, long-term care facilities, home hospice, and then patients' homes where we can provide services in the home. And we really look at the whole complete care plan for any given patient, as our ability to truly see great outcomes for our patients only come in that bridge between hospital and home. And the hyperbaric chamber saw over 5,000 patients come through. And again, we have really unique options in hyperbaric therapy, sentinel or central retinal occlusions, which those transitionals who are going in ophthalmology, this is a resource available to our patients through HBO, and it's really incredible. So I kind of like to reflect, since I've been in this role, I don't even know if I introduced myself, but some of you, I introduced myself out in the parking lot, but I am Meghan Walsh. I am an internist. I am the Chief Academic Officer here at Hennepin, which means I oversee all of the trainees, all of the residents, all of the fellows. I work with faculty who are teachers, which is nearly every single faculty in these walls. And I came here as an intern in 2001 from Madison. And I didn't know anyone in the Twin Cities. I didn't know anyone in my residency. Well, I knew one person in my residency class. And now 20 years later, my entire community is an extension of the people, the amazing people I met in residency, the friendships I carved out of a tremendous experience as a resident and a faculty member. I still work as a hospitalist on the cardiac unit and will work with many of you who do your internal medicine rotation on the care unit. And some of you, I was your faculty while you were a medical student as well. But as I look back, since I've been in this role, which has been a little over 6 years, I wanted to look at graduates of residency programs to just let you see how many creative people come through these programs. So Kristen Nucci was a transitional resident, radiology. He was in my first class when I was the transitional program director. And he never really ran much in residency, and then went on to do radiology categorical program at Stanford and took up running. I think he'd done a 5K up until that point, and now is sort of this nationally renowned ultra marathoner who even questioned whether he should stop being a radiologist because he has had so many sponsors and was doing so well as a runner that he had a better lifestyle. The end of the story is that he did stay in radiology and is an incredible teacher as well. Surly Brewing, those of you that know Surly, which is a brewing company here in the Twin Cities, who also has extended their product into Wisconsin and the Dakotas. The owners are Omar and Becca Ansari. Becca and I were residents together. She was an EM resident who back in residency said, yeah, my husband's thinking of opening, I don't know, maybe making some beer. And we all laughed and said, there's no way they could live as, parents of 4 kids as a brewery owner, and needless to say, they can. Matt Klein. Matt Klein is currently a hospitalist. Those of you that are in-house at night, Matt is often a nighttime admitter. So from the emergency department, he's calling down to take your sign-outs. And he also staffs patients in the ICU, for those of you that will be doing some ICU shifts. He also happens to be a state senator, and it's an incredible resource for our health system. He knows our patients. He believes in our mission. He advocates fiercely for the needs of our patients, and does all of that while also doing night shifts on the side. This is a less than glamorous photo, which I'm sure he hates that I put up here. This is Bob Kempinen. He is one of our Palm Critical Care faculty members, who also happened, I believe, after his intern year, he took the year off in order to train for the Olympics. He was an Olympic marathoner and also in a Nike ad. He will still be your attending. He teaches at the medical school, the pulmonary course, pathophys course, but also is an amazing teacher in our ICU and on Palm Consults. And then to really finish it off, Kjell Lundgren. Kjell is an astronaut, and he did his EM residency here at Hennepin, and then went on to spend about 3 months in space. So it's quite a laudable group, and enmeshed in these grads are moms and sisters and daughters and sons, fathers, brothers, amazing doctors, researchers, fierce and passionate advocates for the underserved. We grow together because this campus is relatively small. This is, whether you love them or they drive you crazy, you are going to see the same people every day, and you build a bond that I can't even explain because of it. And it carves out trust and relationships and friendships and a support network that is so critical to training. And I would say, I think the biggest sadness, I guess, I have around orientation in particular is that you are all not getting the time together that I so love to build and enhance, because it's a chance for you to really get to know one another at a time when you're not all over the hospital, days, nights, different rotations, etc. So I urge you all to please reach out to one another during these 2 weeks, if it's virtual, if it's in person. If you're someone who just moved to Minnesota, I hope that those who are in your program will reach out to you and build you into any sort of, even if it's a phone call type settings, because we need each other in order to best care for patients and lean on one another when things are hard. So the mission for Hennepin Healthcare is deep and connected to why we exist. We partner with our community, our patients, and their families to ensure access to outstanding care for everyone, while improving health and wellness through teaching, patient, and community education and research. Our vision is exceptional care without exception, and we truly mean that, regardless of who you are coming through these doors, needing care and support, we provide it. And person and family-centered care, integrity, respect, teamwork, excellence, and compassion are the values we hold in very high regard. I wanted you to see we do have 5 pathways. These are sort of strategic pathways that our health system uses as sort of a guiding light to help us go through a year or 5 or 10, sort of what are we marching towards? What's the journey we're on? And this health system could not execute on any one of these mission pathways without residents. We are better because we have learners. I have had so many situations, and just had one yesterday afternoon where a resident just emailed me or texts me or pages me with an idea saying, can't we just, or why isn't this happening? Or have you thought about? And that idea becomes a reality. And in fact, as we were looking to ramp up our COVID redesign, because so many things about our system had to change to take care of these patients, we had basically a listserv chat board type of thing where we crowdsourced ideas from all of the residents at Hennepin and said, I want ideas, whatever you've got, throw them out there for ways that we could decrease exposure of our medical staff and our employees to COVID positive patients while also maintaining optimal patient-centered care. And the ideas were incredible. I mean, the first one coming to mind was a resident saying that they really were worried about the food service workers who were bringing food trays up, and generally these employees will take food into the rooms of patients. And they said, we just feel that it's unnecessary risk for these employees to be exposed. Can't we go with more of a disposable option? And so really it was easy to switch on, and our staff switched everything to disposable trays and bowls and plates so that anyone going in the room, a nurse, a resident, a faculty, grabs that tray of food and brings it in for the patient and protects both the exposure of those bringing it up and minimizes the opening and closing of doors to really keep our patients and our employees safe. So across this quality and safety, the biggest highlight in quality safety is we look at things like hospital-acquired infections. We are really keeping a close eye on ensuring that central lines and Foley catheters and hospital-acquired conditions are minimized as much as possible. And the way we achieve this is through multidisciplinary rounds. And I believe you got some video training amidst a lot of online training, I know, around how to have these conversations, targeted checklists so that we can create safety. With the onset of MDRs, these rounds, with residents leading them, we have reduced hospital-acquired infections over the last 3 years, more than we've ever seen in the last 20. So residents matter and make the difference. In the ambulatory environment, we look at immunization rates and asthma management, colon cancer screening, etc. Staff engagement. This is an area where we're trying to build trust across all 7,000 employees. This is through clarity and consistency and compassion and communication. So for residents and fellows, I want you all to feel like you're getting the information you need. If you're not, please reach out to me, your program directors, your coordinators, so that we can build the tightest communication system we can, so everybody has the same information moving forward, especially in the throes of a pandemic. Patient experience, honoring patient preferences, leveraging interpreters, partnering with patients across all domains, inpatient, outpatient, home. We really put this front and center. Operational excellence is looking at how we run our care model so that it can be as efficient as possible. Those of you that are entering emergency medicine, this includes how long patients sit in the ER before they have an inpatient bed. Some of you probably trained in health systems where ER wait times were 24 hours. And we look at every minute to see how we can reduce the time spent there. We look at length of stay, the number of days and hours that a patient is spending in the hospital before discharge. And also look at excellence in our ambulatory environment. How do we leverage technology, video visits, et cetera, so that we can reduce disparities and improve access for everyone, regardless of ability to pay, language, ethnicity, et cetera. And population health is trying to improve our culturally competent practices, reducing inequity and disparities, looking at our at-risk populations and trying to see how we can leverage our skills and talents, our community partnerships to reduce the gaps that clearly exist in Minnesota across a variety of realms. This is a picture just from this week. This is our East Lake Family Medicine Clinic. This is the pride of the community that sadly did get damaged with fires and looting in the last couple weeks. And the community came out and helped clean things up and looking at how we can rebuild, and to see the community support of members who believe this is their clinic and their home, and they are wanting to fiercely fight to get it back up and running for all of our patients. Was an incredible sight. We as a community, we mourn the death of George Floyd. And it would behoove any of us to think about entering residency at a time and not speak to the critical importance of our need to provide the best, most equitable approach to care of our patients, of our employees, for all of our community. Hennepin Healthcare has always put this forward, saying we provide services without regard to race, color, creed, religion, age, sex, disability, marital status, sexual orientation, gender identity, public assistance, or national origin, and believe this to the core, which is why we have existed since the 1800s, why we insist on being the public safety net for everyone. And we have a greater role and responsibility in this community moving forward. We collectively as a community are outraged by the brutal manner of his death and the role of racism in this community. There is no question that this affected George Floyd and thousands, if not millions, before him. And we need to share in the pain, add our voices to condemn racial profiling, police brutality, and injustice. We at Hennepin are committed to change, and we need to maintain momentum through actions to ensure that we are doing all we can. And I partnered with the University of Minnesota, who has also made a statement, but how do we locally, and you're saying, gosh, I'm an intern, I'm just arriving at this health system. There's so much you can do to help us. We listen to our patients, and we must advocate for them both in and out of our clinical settings. We listen because we don't have the answers. We advocate because in many cases we have the power. We will use a collaborative approach to eliminate racism that respects the expertise of students and faculty, staff, our diverse community partners, our board, our advisory committees. Time in these efforts will be focused and supported by our health system. We also must educate ourselves and our other peers in faculty and students and residents and staff on racism, implicit bias, microaggressions, and understand the expectations of treating others with respect, interacting effectively with people from diverse backgrounds, and serving everyone in our community with cultural humility. And additional recruitment efforts must exist in all of our programs to include and incorporate underrepresented in medicine students and residents and fellows and faculty, and looking for mentors and mentees and putting a hand out to say, how can we be better? And I look to all of you to help me move our organization to better reflect the population we care for. In addition, our research and policy that we put forth as a real critical corner of this community must be legislation that acknowledges and works to eliminate the direct impact of racism on the health and well-being of our community. So because we have a role as the safety net, we have a very strong voice in the state as around health equity and our policy lens. And we have to look at everything we are promoting and pushing and asking whether the policy advances health equity. Does this policy impact communities of color, and if so, how? Could it cause further harm? Are we acting authentically? Is this who we really are at Hennepin? And I put this here so that you know that we stand against racism. We need to be leaders in the community with each patient we care for and each system we change, and even years outside of this training, sort of how are you impacting the community around you? So the class of 2020, this is just a little overview so you can see who is on the Zoom call, but also part of the orientation. We have, in this intern class, the next 2 weeks, we have 6 general dentistry residents, 2 pediatric dentistry residents, 2 emergency medicine, internal medicine combined 5-year residents. So while the rest of you graduate, these 2 will be staying here a few extra years. We have 12 emergency medicine residents, 10 family medicine, 20 internal medicine, which is our biggest residency program sponsored here at Hennepin, 6 pharmacy residents, and you will find how incredibly critical the pharmacy residents are to our successful care of patients throughout our system. 2 podiatric surgery residents, 7 psychiatry residents, 6 general surgery residents, and our biggest group in the intern class are our transitionals. There are 25 transitional residents, approximately half of whom, more than half, are U of M employees and matched residents in anesthesia, radiology, going on to ophthalmology, dermatology, and are all coming to Hennepin to spend their year, and they'll spend their entire year here. So welcome to all of you, and congratulations, and you have a really big, diverse intern class, so please connect with one another because it is so critical. So the next 10 to 14 days of work, there are more days I know of time dedicated to Hennepin, feels like a long time. I know that many of your friends aren't even leaving for orientation probably for another week or so, but we felt that getting you here, getting you in the system, many of you haven't been in a clinical environment because of COVID, is so critical so that you can feel as ready to jump in where whatever your first rotation is and feel that you know where you're going and someone's got your back and you're a little more familiar with the place. This is going to be fun. You are going to have a great time. It is so nice to kind of be able to write orders instead of only taking orders and enjoy that. So I'm going to leave you with my last slide, which this is my son, Sam, who's now 12, but this is when he was graduating from pre-K. And I thought that everything I learned in kindergarten rules play very well for residency. So share everything. And to this, I say handoffs are important. Sharing information, the information handed from one resident to another can provide the best possible care and the highest quality and safe environment that we need to have at this health system. Be aware of wonder, and wonder is so incredible. Stay curious, think outside the box, ask questions. And if you were in a week or a day or an hour where you're saying, I just am not as curious as usual, use that as a biopsy to say, do I need a little break? What's going on? Should I reach out to someone? And I want you to use that as your own barometer as well. Play fair. And to this, I say, give each other a break. Some days are really tough. Know that everybody has a bad day. Assume best intentions. Give everybody a break. And you will find that others will do the same for you. Don't hit people. But more importantly, or equally important, is don't let them hit you. Stay safe. If a patient is angry or confused or dangerous, please protect yourself first. I will always support you in that. I don't need you walking into the throes of an escalated situation. We have amazing resources to help us. I just want you to call for help and get out of a situation should it become one of a escalated environment. Clean up your own mess. This goes without saying. Pick up your workrooms. You all have workrooms. You all have call rooms. In the time of COVID, I cannot emphasize this enough. Please wash off door handles and keyboards and any general phones that are sitting in those call rooms. And as much as you can contribute to keeping that stuff clean, the better off we all are in keeping you healthy and ready to care for others. Don't take things that aren't yours. This is the scrubs and ultrasounds. Put things back where you found them. I know it seems obvious, but sometimes things just disappear. Say you're sorry when you've hurt somebody. And to this, I say, if a mistake is made, and you will all make a mistake at some point in your medical career, and likely 10, and your faculty have all made mistakes, do not be afraid to say, I'm sorry. To say that you are wrong, to apologize that something happened to your family, to your peers, to your patients. We are all human, and it is going to happen. Wash your hands before you eat. I think that's self-explanatory. Always flush. That one I shouldn't have to explain either. Goldfish and hamsters and white mice die, and so do we. Reach out for help if you're struggling or having a hard time. There are some really tough days with these patients with COVID. They are incredibly sick. They go from talking to you and talking on the phone to going to the ICU, and it is really a punch to the gut. And we are stronger together. The residents that I rounded with 2 weeks ago were really the whole reason that each of us could come in every day and say, you know, we know some people are going to get sicker and we're going to do the best we can. So reach out for help when you need it. Take a nap every afternoon. I'm not sure that this one's going to be reasonable, but hey, if you can make it work, go for it. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day. It reminds me of wise words from the dean of my medical school way back, you know, in the early 2000s, who said, the patterns you create now in medical school and in residency are the patterns that stick with you for decades. Meaning, don't put all you have into work and lose the critical relationships, friendships, partnerships, family connections that are so critical to us trying to maintain some sort of balanced life. And when you go out in the world, watch out for traffic and hold hands. And to this, I say, please look out for one another, stay connected. These friendships are going to build fast and you need one another. This is life. Find those allies and confidants that are your people that will always be there even when you've had a really crappy day. So that concludes my welcome. Thank you all. Those of you that have not seen this, we have a web page, www.hcmcgme.org, and it has each day's schedule as an overview. Please recognize that you have kind of two different groups driving your schedule. There's our GME office, the central office, which is creating common content. And then your specialties also have a comment or content specific to your specialty. And you will need to be aware of what you're needing to do as far as for your residency program and what you need to do through the general GME office.